Welcome to the week that was, but we mostly wish it wasn't, for the week ending December 19th, 2025. This is a weekly roundup of the highlights and lowlights of campus anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. This week I had about 25 stories to choose from. Relatively slower week as schools go on to the breaks. If something is happening in your neck of the woods, though, please be sure to let me know. I am your host, Andrew Pessin. I'm a professor. Please don't hate me. For more about me and my work, visit andrewpessin.com. And for all the details of today's stories and loads more stories, follow me on X at Andrew Pessin. An announcement to start. I have launched the Institute for the Critical Study of Anti-Zionism, a scholarly enterprise that will document and expose the sordid origins and malevolent evolution of anti-Zionism as an ideology, as a worldview, and as a movement, going from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion through the Nazis, the Soviets, the Muslim Arabs, and the Western progressives. I launched it with an opening lecture a couple of nights ago. There is a series of 6 lectures coming up starting in the new year, so please be sure to follow me and stay informed and check out these lectures. Let's get to the news. Top stories, breaking news this past week. Wow, Bondi Beach massacre, Brown University, the MIT professor, even Rob Reiner. Does anyone get the feeling that the world is spiraling out of control? Me too. San Francisco Hillel was firebombed this week while students and staff were inside preparing for Shabbat. There was significant damage to the building and it was shut down. Last year, the same Hillel building was tagged with K-Bar, which is the early Islamic battle in which many Jews were slaughtered, as well as the phrase death to Western imperialism. A suspect has been arrested. Michigan State University Chabad was vandalized 2 nights in a row. This past Tuesday night, a male was seen on video throwing large rocks at the windows and doors, causing damage, and then he returned the next night to spray swastikas. Fresno State University, the campus has been hit with 3 anti-Semitism incidents in the past few weeks, at least one of which was a swastika. They're not releasing many other details. Harvard University, their health center there that's focused on human rights, will be getting a new leader after the previous leader drew criticism for focusing too heavily on Palestinians. The woman served as director of the Francois Xavier Bagnoud Center for Health and Human Rights. She will be stepping down after 7 years. The Harvard Task Force on Anti-Semitism cited the FXB Center for focusing, quote, heavily on Palestinians in lectures which rarely presented Israeli points of view, except those of the state's harshest critics. At Columbia University, the Office of Institutional Equity last year found the Columbia Palestine Solidarity Coalition in violation of its anti-discrimination policies. However, it dropped that finding after a lawsuit when the CPSC filed a lawsuit against the university challenging that office's authority to impose a finding on an unrecognized student group, all of which does generate the question, how is it that an unrecognized student group can continue to operate on campus but somehow isn't subject to university rules? The United Kingdom, an Oxford student, has now been charged with stirring up racial hatred by chanting, Gaza, make us proud, put the Zios in the ground. I'm sure he believes he was just criticizing Israel. Also in the United Kingdom, at King's College London, clashes erupted this past week as a pro-Palestinian protest met pro-Israel counter-protesters. The details are not very clear, but one article clearly favoring the pro-Palestinian side accused the pro-Israel counter-protesters of heaping epithets at them, such as calling them terrorists, as well as attacking them. The European Union of Jewish Students is announced that they're disappointed to report that despite the increasing anti-Semitism across Europe, the European Youth Forum has decided not to include a member of the European Union of Jewish students in their anti-racism expert group. Got that? Anti-racism experts will not include a Jewish representative, as Jews are by far the most highly targeted student group. They don't even try to hide their hatred of Jews anymore. In Australia, the University of Sydney fired a staff member over her anti-Semitic abuse of students. It was a busy week in the legal lawsuit department. A New York court ruled that a synagogue can fire a teacher for her anti-Zionist social media. At the University of Michigan, a federal judge heard arguments this week about whether to dismiss a lawsuit brought by 8 University of Michigan students and alumni against the school after it fired them. The former workers had participated in various protests on campus, anti-Israel protests. The University of Michigan fired the workers several months after those incidents. Lawyers for the university argued that the fired workers broke the school's code of conduct during the course of its multiple protests. And of course, they claim that they are being singled out for their political views. The university claims, no, you broke the rules. University of Kansas, the Students for Justice in Palestine group there is suing the university, accusing it of selectively enforcing campus rules and punishing student activists after their protests last spring. This is the second lawsuit to arise from the university's discipline related to these Gaza-related demonstrations over the past 2 years. This lawsuit alleges the university violated the students' constitutional rights by imposing curfews, authorizing arrests, and pursuing disciplinary sanctions, and again claiming that it's targeting their political views rather than their conduct. And Canada, Vancouver Island University, a student there who was suspended for 2 years for her role in pro-Palestinian encampment there, has lost a court challenge over the discipline. The university handed her the suspension after the University Disciplinary Authority found that she had committed multiple violations of the university student conduct code, but she argued that the suspension was unlawful because it was breaching her rights to political expression. So once again, they claim it's a free speech issue while they are breaking campus rules. In the professional organization department, the House Education Committee is going to investigate the American Psychological Association for anti-Semitism. Jewish members there were harassed for being Jewish and punished for speaking up. The APA, along the way, approved and awarded official continuing education credits to various events where speakers called for violence against Jews, denied the Holocaust, mocked Jewish grief after October 7th, declared Zionism a mental illness. One division president openly praised Hamas after the October 7th massacre, calling the terrorists martyrs and accusing the Jews of slander. The APA did nothing. One more SJP story at Temple University. An SJP student recorded a video, this was apparently back in April, but being reported now, exclaiming, quote, "It is our job to destroy the USA." As many on the pro-Israel side say, the Jews are first, but they're coming for bigger things, so they're not hiding it. K through 12 Arena, a Westchester high school, was hit with swastikas this past week. And perhaps more importantly, in California, a law that has been enacted to curb anti-Semitism in the schools there is now under challenge. A federal judge could rule very soon to block the law. The law bans discriminatory and biased instruction, inaccurate materials, and school activities deemed anti-Semitic. It creates a new Office of Civil Rights for K through 12 education that includes an anti-Semitism prevention coordinator who would develop resources and provide anti-Semitism education. Who would be opposed to that? One wonders. Well, the plaintiffs include several California public school teachers, the organization LA Educators for Justice in Palestine, and some public school students. They are, of course, arguing that will infringe their right to criticize Israel. So stay tuned for the result of that hearing. In the students openly endorsing violence category, a Harvard anti-Israel group posted this past week a call to, quote, escalate militant action for Palestine. Again, just criticizing Israel. Well, that's the news, unfortunately. Tune in next week to see what fresh horrors next week might bring. Again, I am your host, Andrew Pessin at andrewpessin.com, and hoping everyone manages to keep it together until next week and enjoy the holidays. And I should say, we'll take next week off, so I'll see you in 2 weeks.